Broncos country, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. First and foremost, Nick Gerjulo, Devon Vele, hey, and even some more Bo Nix, Troy Franklin tape. It's all coming over this next week or so. So thank you guys for sticking with me. More film rooms are coming before we start training camp. Just around the corner. We're almost there, y'all. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit of context behind the scenes of this channel, why I started this channel, how I became a lifelong Broncos fan, who are my favorite Broncos of all time. Let me know your top five. Doesn't have to be in a specific order, but let me know your top five players of all time on the Broncos. But I was raised in Illinois for most of my life, and my dad was from Fort Morgan, so I was just kind of born and raised out the gate, bleeding the orange and blue. The Broncos, they've been my number one team above anything. Even though I love to rep the Nugget stuff, I'm here watching Summer League. The Broncos are above everything else. It's just true. It's funny because this wasn't the first channel I started, but here I am. My first Broncos game ever was, I think, 2006. It was the year after the Broncos lost to the Steelers in the AFC Championship with Jake Plummer. I think this was one of Jake Plummer's last games that he started as a Bronco, which sucked because I love Jake Plummer, and was benched for Jay Cutler maybe a game or two later on. But it was a Sunday night football game against the Chargers. They blew a 17-point lead at halftime. I think Darren Williams, rest in peace, he had a pick six. It was a really fun trip. Me and my dad, we did a stadium tour of, at that time, it was Invesco Field at Mile High. And I was around 13, 14 years old. It was absolutely fantastic. And when we'd come out and visit Colorado to go to like Estes Park or spend a vacation, there were a handful of years where we would make it out for a Broncos practice at training camp, which was always a lot of fun. And I started a YouTube channel when I was like 15, when Josh McDaniels took over. This was before, YouTube was acquired by Google. It was right when Brandon Perna was getting going. And I did a handful of videos on the team, hyping up Kyle Orton, why I could get behind Kyle Orton, and how Josh McDaniels, could get this team going in the right direction, right? And man, that 6-0 start was great, but man, losing all those games down the stretch was really hard. I don't think I even finished the season making videos as a 15-year-old, but I had always wondered what would happen if I had stuck with it all these years, much like Brandon Perno, like the GOAT Broncos YouTube creator. If I had stuck with it, what would happen? And I decided, last year I would give it a shot that with the Buffs, and that gave me the confidence that I can really do this thing for the NFL as well. And the team that I will ride and die with no matter what, and that is the Denver Broncos. So that's a little bit of my story. I've been to a few other games. I've been to Peyton Manning taking on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl year at Arrowhead. That was really awesome. Or no, maybe it was the year prior. No, it was the year they went to the Super Bowl, 2013. My bad. But let me give you my top 5 Broncos of all time. Number 5, Al Wilson. Al Wilson was one of my first jerseys. I thought he embodied everything of what it meant to play for the Denver Broncos, leading that defense. I feel like we've never had an inside linebacker to the likes of Al Wilson after all these years. But again, I had a white 56 jersey. 56, yeah. Now let's stick with linebacker. I'll go with number 4. My number 4 favorite Bronco of all time. That's right, it's Von Miller. Nothing too crazy. The greatest. He's probably the greatest Broncos player throughout who spent the majority of his career at the Broncos I've been able to appreciate as a teenager, young adult. Love Von Miller, even though he's an Aggie. Number 3, I'm going to go with Champ Bailey. I'd say, Dave, what's up with that? Guys that just have favoritism to quarterbacks. That's just how it is. But Champ Bailey was fantastic. Bummed me out so much that he did not get a Super Bowl. We were just so hurt that last year he was here in Denver. And if we were, even 70% healthy, I think we give the Seahawks a little bit better of a game. Or if the Super Bowl is just not in New York, what a terrible idea. What a terrible idea by the NFL to do that, by the way. This is a little bit more off the cuff, but I got my 3 favorite Broncos of all time, top 3, reserved for the quarterback position, guys. I've done a lot of videos on Bo Nix. I think the quarterback position is what makes football so great and interesting. And it's not a coincidence that these are my top 3. I'm going to go Jake Plummer, number 3. I loved how he played. He wasn't the best quarterback or anything like that, right? But love the way that he played. Those bootlegs thrown off a play action. He was the perfect guy for that Mike Shanahan system. And I wish it would have lasted longer. I understand what Shanahan was trying to go for, though. Just didn't work out. Wish he was retained, but, that's all water under the bridge now. We've moved on. Jake Plummer. And I love that he loves mushrooms. Number 2, John Elway. Love John Elway. He's the king of Colorado. He's everything to this franchise. He's been a part of all 3 of our Super Bowls. The only reason I have him as number 2 is because I was too young to really, truly appreciate him as a lot of people that watched him as adults throughout his entire career, the way that they speak about him. I was just a little too young. I was born in 92. So a lot of what I've seen has been in the past. And it's different when maybe you're a little bit older and you got people, again, like Von Miller, I've been able to watch throughout his whole career. It's been really cool. And that reserves number 1 for Peyton Manning. I love Peyton Manning. I was very little when the Broncos won their back-to-back Super Bowls. And so when we won Super Bowl 50, that felt different for me. As a 20-something-year-old watching that Super Bowl happen. I love the way he approached the game. Got me thinking about football at a way deeper level. And I just love his personality. He's so calculated, yet so personable, at the same time. Really interesting, dynamic personality. And I'm always going to cheer for Peyton Manning with whatever he's up to. Even though he spent the majority of his career with the Colts, I don't know. He just seems like a Bronco to me. All Colts end up being Broncos with Elway and Peyton Manning. But yeah, this is a little bit off the cuff. Wanted to break things up a little bit and give you guys a little bit more of information just about me and my fanhood with the Broncos. So those are my favorite players. Some honorable mentions. I'll throw in DJ Williams, Brandon Marshall. Guess I'll go with Clinton Portis too. I had a Clinton Portis jersey, but that was the right trade, obviously, when it brought Champ Bailey out here. And I'll go with John Lynch as well. Loved how he played. Wish he was able to play more for the Broncos out here. So let me know your top 5 Broncos as well. I want to know that. But thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I got more film rooms coming soon. And as always, y'all, go Broncos.